I didn't hear the rain until the sprinkler timer clicked off and the neighbor started shouting again. Your stupid rotor heads flooded my lilies, Dan. The coffee mug slipped from my hand, hit the tile, and split into two clean halves. A hairline crack I'd ignored for months finally gave up. Story of my life. Pretend things aren't broken long enough, and they break in public. I'm Daniel Carter, 66, retired line tech. My talent used to be keeping power on when Storm said otherwise. Lately, my talent is apologizing for stuff that isn't entirely my fault. Classic enabler move. I grab a dish towel. My phone buzzes across the counter like a trapped bug. Unknown caller, Cheyenne. Why? I let it ring. Mrs. Wilson keeps yelling through the fence like a daytime TV judge. Dan, I'm serious. Property values. The phone keeps buzzing. A second call. I pick up. Carter. Mr. Carter, this is Ava Brooks, Brooks and Halperin, Cheyenne. I'm calling regarding Rebecca Lynn, my ex-wife. No one's used her full name with me in years. What about Becca? A beat. Professional tone, like doctors use before the bad news. I'm sorry. Miss Lynn passed on Tuesday. The funeral is Friday, 2 p.m. Riverside Chapel. There will be a reading of the will at 4:30 inches our office. You are a named party, so your presence is required. The room shrinks. The rain gets louder. The two halves of my mug sit like open parentheses. I'm a named party? Yes, sir. You'll also receive a packet by email, time, location, and a brief notice regarding estate assets and potential beneficiaries. From the fence. Dan, are you ignoring me? I cover the phone. 2 hours, Mrs. Wilson. I'll fix the head on zone 3. Back to Ava. I haven't spoken to Becca in 15 years. I understand. Please check your email. Written evidence of notice must be acknowledged for probate scheduling. My inbox dings. Subject line. Notice of will reading estate of Rebecca Lynn. Attached. PDF from a real firm. Watermark and all. Page 1 says, Notice to interested persons in big, toneless letters. Page 2 mentions investment accounts, corporate interests, and something about disposition per testator's instructions. Clinical language for a life blown apart and reassembled by lawyers. I manage. I'll be there. We hang up. I set the phone down like it could go off again and bring the rest of my past with it. Another ding. Text message, Tyler, my son. Tyler. Heard you got the email. Don't make this weird, Dad. Me. I'm attending the service. Quietly. Quiet. Quiet. Would be you. Staying home. Boundaries. Remember? I stare at the word. Boundaries. Funny how toxic people love to weaponize healthy terms. Me. I'm paying my respects, that's it. 3 dots appear, disappear. Then, Tyler. You had your chance to be family. Don't hijack her funeral for attention. There's the gaslighting, accuse me of the thing you're planning to do. Becca used to say Tyler was driven. Somewhere along the way, driven turned into narcissist, never wrong, never sorry, always the main character. I sweep the ceramic shards into my palm. The edges bite. I don't bleed. Rain softens. The house hums like it used to when I worked nights and listened for transformers popping in distant lightning. I open the email again, this time slower. The footer lists Brooks and Halperin LLP with a 6-line disclosure about fiduciary duties and statutory notice. There's a link to confirm receipt acknowledgement required for probate. I click yes. There. I exist on paper again. Another text, this time an email forward from an address I don't recognize. It's a calendar invite titled, Will Reading Estate of Lynn. Location, Brooks and Halperin. 315, Grant Ave, Cheyenne. Attendees, Tyler Carter, Daniel Carter. Attached note from Ava. For scheduling purposes, please bring a government ID. If you possess any documents relevant to your relationship with Miss Lynn, marriage, certificate, prior agreements, financial records, you may submit copies at reception. Originals not required at this stage. Relevant documents. I have a shoebox with tax returns, a mortgage payoff letter Becca framed and then shoved into storage, and a joint bank account closure notice dated the week we signed divorce papers. Paper ghosts. A soft knock at the back door. Mrs. Wilson, plastic rain hood tied hard enough to lift her eyebrows. Dan, I'm not unreasonable, but this is the 3rd time the spray. What happened to your hand? I look down. Tiny red crescent from a shard. It's fine. I'll fix the head, 2 hours. She breathes through her nose. about to lecture me on responsibility, like I haven't hauled a bucket truck through ice storms with a fever. Property lines are legal, Dan. So are funerals, I say. And wills. She blinks. Oh. I grab my tool bag. Old habits move me. Assess, isolate, repair. I step into the yard. The rain has settled into that steady Midwestern metronome that makes everything smell like cut grass and wet memory. My phone buzzes again. Unknown number. I answer. Carter. A different voice, warmer. Mr. Carter? This is Ava again. I wanted to make sure you saw the competency statement attached. Miss Lynn underwent mental capacity evaluation before executing the will. It's standard in high-asset estates to prevent undue influence challenges. So this is airtight. Nothing is ever airtight, but the documentation is very strong. I'll explain the process Friday. Silence as the word process settles in my chest. I've spent my life inside processes. Lockout, tagout, switching orders, safety meetings. Process is how you survive long enough to retire. Miss Brooks. Ava is fine. Ava, if Tyler wants me out, do I stay out? A slower silence, professional, then human. Grief brings out the worst in toxic dynamics. You're allowed to grieve. You're allowed boundaries too. We'll keep things calm. Calm. At Becca's funeral. With Tyler. Sure. We hang up. I kneel in the wet grass and unscrew the cracked rotor head. The O-ring's chewed. You don't see the leak if you only look when the water's off. You see it when pressure hits. I pocket the busted O-ring. The broken mug halves are waiting in the kitchen, 2 pale pieces of a circle that didn't hold. I rinse them and set them aside. Maybe I'll glue them, or maybe I'll leave them as is written evidence you can't keep pretending forever. My phone buzzes one last time. Calendar, reminder. Friday 2 p.m. Riverside Chapel. 4:30 p.m. will reading. I dry my hands on the dish towel and look at my face in the dark window. Older than I feel. Tired in the way that doesn't go away with sleep. I'll be there. I tell the empty room. And mean it. Because this time, I'm not going to be the enabler who disappears to keep everyone comfortable. This time, I show up. Quiet. Steady. And when the reading starts, I'll let the paper talk. Cut to black. Friday smells like wet asphalt and lilies. The chapel on Grand Avenue looks like money. Dark wood, high windows, a lobby where the carpet hushes your sins. I sign the guest book Daniel Carter because paper matters. The funeral director pins a black ribbon on me like a hall pass to grief. A program lists names that once lived in our kitchen calendar as initials and flight numbers. Tyler stands at the front like a host at a product launch. Perfect suit. Watch that, says time is mine. He sees me and his mouth does that tight smile that isn't a smile. Text buzzes my pocket. Ava. I won't intrude. I'm 2 blocks away if needed. Remember, you have a right to be here. Breathe. I slide into the last pew. The wood is cold. People whisper the way people do when they pretend they're reverent, but they're just excited for someone else's drama. Is that him? The ex. Held her back for years, I heard. Gaslighting has a chorus. If enough people hum the same tune, you start to dance without noticing. The organ starts, then the eulogy's visionary, self-made market leader. All true. None of it mentions the cheap apartment, where we learned to stretch a paycheck, or the snow tires we couldn't afford, or the way Becca would fall asleep face down on a spreadsheet. When the last hymn fades, the funeral director steps up to close. That's when Tyler turns, scans the room, and points. Excuse me, he says, voice amplified enough to ride the beams. Before we conclude, 200 heads swivel toward me like I tripped a breaker. I need to address an elephant. He walks down the aisle, the carpet swallowing his footsteps. He stops at my pew, close enough to smell the cologne that costs more than my mortgage used to. Dad. My name in his mouth is an indictment. He turns to the crowd, adopting the cadence I've heard at corporate town halls. This is Daniel Carter, my father in the technical sense. Legally former family. He's here today, which is surprising. Considering his history, I feel my pulse in my teeth, but I don't move. Tyler continues, eyes scanning for cameras that aren't there. Let's talk boundaries. My mother protected hers. She built something while some people. He gestures vaguely toward me, preferred mediocrity. That's fine, to each their own. But showing up today, that's toxic. The murmurs approve. It's easy to clap for a story you like. I stand up because sitting makes me smaller. I'm here to pay my respects, I say, voice steady. That's all. Tyler smiles without warmth. Respect would have been supporting her when she was alive. A woman in the second pew whispers, "He took half in the divorce." The man beside her nods like he audited the case. I take out my phone not to argue, not to perform, but because written evidence calms storms. I open the divorce decree PDF I keep for moments like this. Final judgment from Franklin County Domestic Relations. Signed. Stamped. I don't hold it up. I don't wave paper. I look at it. I let it anchor me to facts in a room addicted to feelings. Tyler, I say, keeping my eyes on my son, not the audience. I won't argue with you here, not today. He steps closer, lowering his voice for me but keeping the posture for them. You don't get to hijack her funeral. You never understood her. You were jealous, small, narcissist adjacent in your own humble brag way. Yes, that's a thing. I'm setting a boundary now. Leave. There it is again, using therapy words like weapons. I swallow the familiar reflex, defend, explain, beg for a kinder version of the story. That reflex is how people like me become enablers. I breathe. Ava's text vibrates through my ribs even when the phone is still. This isn't your stage, I say. Not loud, not sharp. This is a chapel. His mouth twitches. He wants a fight. He needs one to confirm the narrative. Then act like it, he says. Walk away. I look past him at the altar. At the flowers that smell like the first weeks after Dustin, no, after Tyler was born, when Becca and I ate cold noodles over a sleeping baby and thought we had hacked life. I could leave. I have left 1,000 times in smaller ways, backing down to keep the peace, absorbing blows wrapped in jokes, apologizing for breathing the wrong kind of air around the wrong kind of people. I'll sit in the back, I say. I won't speak again. When it's over, I'll go. Tyler turns to the room, palms open like a TED Talk. You all heard him, he announces. We can proceed. Thank you for your patience while I protected my family's space. Protected. He uses that word the way a wall uses barbed wire. He strides to the front pew. The director, pale, nods at the organist, who stumbles into a recessional. On the way out, people avoid my eyes like eye contact might be contagious. One older man squeezes my shoulder in that aggressive sympathy men use when they want to be kind without endorsing the losing team. I wait until the last cluster of black suits clears the lobby. The air tastes like flowers and performance. I take a step toward the side door, the one that spits you into the parking lot behind the dumpsters, when a voice stops me. Mr. Carter? I turn. A woman in a dark suit with a leather portfolio, clean lines, no nonsense. Ava. She kept her distance, but she's here now. Quiet as a signature at the bottom of the page. I said I wouldn't intrude, she says softly. But I also said we'd keep things calm. It's calm enough, I say. My throat feels like it swallowed chalk. She glances toward the front, where Tyler is accepting condolences like stock options. For what it's worth, she says. Public shaming is a control tactic. It's meant to push you into a corner where you react and look toxic. You didn't. I wanted to. Wanting to isn't doing. That's called boundaries. We step outside. The rain has thinned to a silver curtain. My old Honda sits between two SUVs that cost more than Becca and I paid for our first house. Ava checks her watch. 4:30 at the office. Bring your ID. We already have your acknowledgement of notice. After the reading, logistics begin, probate, account freezes, board notifications. We'll handle process. You handle breathing. I nod. She starts to go, then pauses. One more thing, she says. Tyler may try to escalate. If he calls, texts, emails forward, everything. Written evidence, beats remembered speeches. I pocket my phone. Question, I say. If I've been too nice for too long, did I help build this? Did I teach him that shaming me works? Ava doesn't flinch. Maybe, she says. Enabling is a survival skill until it's a prison. Today you rattled the bars. That counts. She leaves me with the rain and the smell of cut grass. I look at the chapel door, then down at my hands. They're steady. I'm not storming out. I'm not storming in. I'm doing the one thing no one expects the quiet guy to do. I'm staying. Brooks and Halperin sits in a Victorian on Grant Avenue with stained glass windows and floors that make smart noises under expensive shoes. The receptionist checks my ID, copies it against the notice of interested persons, and slides a pen across a sign-in sheet like it's a ritual that keeps chaos out. Mr. Carter? Conference A. Her voice is the kind you use for libraries and courtrooms. Tyler is already inside, angled toward the head of the table, elbows wide, owning space. Ava sits at the far end with a hardback will packet clipped in blue. A digital recorder blinks red. 2 associates sit along the wall, one with a legal pad, one with a laptop. A ceramic carafe steams in the middle like it has something to confess. Record is on, Ava says. Estate of Rebecca Lynn. Will executed March 18. Witnessed and notarized per Wyoming Stat. Section 2, 6112. Will read dispositive provisions, then discuss probate administration, letters testamentary, and initial asset control. Any questions before we begin? To the censors the dendant. Tyler laughs once, a small knife. Just the part where we skip formalities and get to the company. Ava doesn't blink. We'll go in order. She lifts the first page. Her voice shifts into that clean legal cadence that turns oxygen into paragraphs. I, Rebecca Lynn, being of sound mind and disposing memory, declare this to be my last will and testament, revoking all prior wills and codicils. She pauses, slides a 1-page attachment free. For the record, the will packet includes a competency statement from Dr. Sandra Ng, Ph.D., dated March 5, documenting a full neuropsychological evaluation. Results indicate intact executive function. MoCA 29/30, no impairments. Purpose: to prevent undue influence challenges. Copies will be circulated with the transcript. I feel the room exhale. Tyler doesn't. Move on, he says, jaw tight. Ava continues. Specific bequests. To my son, Tyler Carter, I devise the residence commonly known as 847 Hillcrest Drive. Together with its furnishings and personal effects, I further bequeath $500,000 from my primary investment account at Silver Basin Wealth, to be distributed within 60 days of probate. Tyler's smile returns, a thin blade. And the rest, he says. Ava flips the page. Conditions. The foregoing bequests to Tyler Carter are contingent upon his continued employment with Lynn Energy Consulting, LLC, for a period of not less than 24 months from the date of execution of this will, or until such time as the company is sold or dissolved. Failure to satisfy this condition converts the bequests to a lifetime trust, with distributions restricted to education, health, maintenance, and support as defined under HEMS standards. Tyler blinks. Conditions? She wouldn't. What does sold even mean? Who would sell it? Ava looks down only long enough to turn a page. Residuary clause. I give, devise, and bequeath all the rest, residue, and remainder of my estate, including but not limited to, investment accounts, real property, intellectual property, and all membership interests and subsidiary holdings of Lynn Energy Consulting, LLC, as follows. She lifts her eyes. To my former husband, Daniel Carter, I bequeath $33,500,000 from my investment and securities portfolios, and 65% of all issued and outstanding membership units of Lynn Energy Consulting, LLC and its subsidiaries. I appoint him chairman of the board upon admission by the operating agreement, with full voting rights. The sentence lands like a substation breaker slamming shut. For a second, even the recorder seems to go quiet. I hear my own breath. Tyler's chair skids hard into the paneled wall. No, this is fraudulent, he says, color flooding his face. He manipulated her. Or you did. Undue influence, capacity. Pick one. Ava keeps her voice inside the calm lane. The capacity report is in the packet. Independent evaluation. The will was executed before 2 disinterested witnesses and a notary public. There is video of execution retained by our office as attorney work product. Tyler slaps the table. Papers jump. The carafe sloshes. You expect me to believe my mother gave control to a man who never understood a profit and loss? I stay seated. The instinct to apologize taps my ribs. I don't open the door. I didn't ask for this, I say. I didn't even know. Exactly, he snaps. The perfect narcissist move, act humble while grabbing the crown. Ava. Tyler. You're on the record. Keep your statements professional. He barks a laugh. Put this on the record. We're contesting. We'll file caveats, depose the witnesses, subpoena emails, phone logs. If there's a text between them, I'll find it. Contest if you choose. Ava says evenly. Be advised. Miss Lynn also executed a no-contest clause, a terrorem provision. A frivolous challenge could forfeit conditional bequests. His head jerks. She wouldn't do that. There's now, not fearfront. Ava slides a tabbed page forward. The language is short, surgical. Any beneficiary who directly or indirectly contests this will without probable cause shall be deemed to have predeceased me for purposes of distribution. Tyler stares at the text like it personally violated him. He turns to me. What did you do? What did you promise her? Because there's no universe where she gives you 65% while I, her son, get strings. I meet his eyes, and for the first time all day I feel something besides shock. Sadness for a man who only recognizes love when it arrives with a ledger. I didn't promise her anything, I say. I wasn't there, Tyler. He points at Ava. Then you promised her something for him. Ava folds her hands. What I promised Miss Lynn was process, and I'll keep that promise now. Here's what happens next. We'll petition for probate and request issuance of letters testamentary naming Daniel Carter as personal representative. We'll file notice to creditors and initiate a 90-day claim window per statute. We'll contact Silver Basin Wealth to place administrative holds and begin account transfers under an EIN for the estate. We'll notify the board under the operating agreement and schedule a special meeting to seat a new chair and affirm interim management. We'll implement a litigation hold across company email and archives. And in an AITA, she turns back to Tyler. You will, of course, receive copies of all filings. If you choose to remain with the company, your employment condition runs 24 months or until sale. He chews on the word sale like it's poison. You'll run it into the ground just to prove a point. I shake my head. I don't want to prove anything. I want lights to stay on and people to keep their jobs. He leans forward, voice dropping into something colder. Here's my boundary, Dad. Stay away from me, from my team, from what Mom built. You touch bank accounts, client lists. You step into a boardroom, you'll wish you'd walked out of that chapel. Threat disguised as therapy language. Classic. Ava slides a second packet across the table toward me. The cover page reads, Initial transition. Memo confidential. Tabs marked board, banking, HR, PR, legal. Another slim envelope sits on top, cream. Heavy. With my name in Becca's handwriting. Per Miss Lynn's instructions, Ava says, there's a personal message for you. She asked that it be read after the dispositive provisions so the room could hear it if you consent. My name in her handwriting tilts the floor. The seal is unbroken. 15 years of silence press against a line of glue. Tyler snorts. Of course there's a letter. A ghost speech. How convenient. I don't look at him. I look at the envelope. The script is unmistakable. The way she looped her L like a treble clef. The firm downstroke on the R. Ava's voice softens, almost human again. We can take a 5-minute recess, or we can read it now. I slide the envelope closer until it touches my knuckles. The paper is cool. Read it, I say. The recorder's red light watches us all. Ava breaks the seal like it's a medical procedure, precise. No drama. She slides out cream stationery embossed RL at the top. The room becomes a held breath. Her voice is legal calm when she starts, but the words aren't legal. Dan, if you're hearing this, I'm gone. And you're in a room I can picture down to the paneled walls. I know your face right now, polite confusion with a side of this must be a mistake. It isn't. My chest tightens the way it used to when a storm line hit the valley all at once. You kept the lights on while I chased lightning. You asked for dinners at the scarred table. I bought a chandelier and then got mad at fingerprints. I called your steadiness small because admitting I was wrong felt like death. That was narcissism, not vision. Tyler exhales through his nose, a practiced scoff. Ava continues, you weren't my anchor holding me back. You were the dock I chose to unmoor from because winning felt safer than loving. I told myself you envied me. Truth. I envied your peace. He doing the mace. The page rustles. I can hear Becca's pen in my head, short strokes, no wasted loops. Why you? Because you never asked. Because I watched, from a distance I pretended was boundaries. As you fixed neighbors' power on your own time, drove Mrs. Alvarez to the clinic when her car died, and mailed a check for $78.16 to cover her overdue utility bill with a note. One less thing to worry about. Ava glances up. I remember the note. Blue ink, shaky because I wrote it in the truck. I had Ava gather written evidence of your ordinary kindness. Receipts, emails, not to spy to prove I wasn't romanticizing the past. Character leaves a paper trail, not as now in the eyes. Tyler shifts, irritated the word paper isn't working for him today. During the will workup, I took a competency exam because I knew Tyler would assume I'd lost my mind. I hadn't. My mind was clear. I was wrong about many things. I was not confused about this. Ava turns the page. Tyler, if you're in the room, and of course you are, I need you to hear this without your brand manager brain. I failed you in ways that don't show up in spreadsheets. I taught you to treat people like assets and liabilities. You learned entitlement from the way I treated success like oxygen. I am sorry. Tyler's jaw ticks. He looks at the table, not at anyone. You are brilliant. You are also brittle. Wealth amplified both. The Hems trust in your clause isn't punishment, it's a guardrail. 2 years inside the company so you learn the cost of payroll and the boredom of compliance. If you choose to stay beyond that, good. If you choose to leave and build your own thing, better. The letter doesn't spare me. Dan, you will want to apologize. Don't. Use the money to make quiet things sturdy, safety protocols, scholarships for line workers' kids, a winter fund for families whose breakers pop more than they should. Serve with the boredom of adults who don't need applause. Ava turns the last sheet. If they try to call this revenge, remember, this is correction. I built a machine to prove I deserved to be in rooms with men who doubted me. The machine worked. It also chewed our family. I can't fix history. I can choose a steward who won't use money as a weapon. There's a line in Becca's script where the pen pressed too hard. I see it from across the table. When you get to the part where you feel like an imposter because I know you, you'll look for an exit. Don't. Sit in the chair. Read the reports. Ask dumb questions out loud. Because dumb questions save lives. People will love you for it. Or they won't. That stopped mattering to me too late. The last paragraph hits like a breaker thump you feel through your boots. I loved you. Not the way I managed it badly, defensively, but truly. I picked a scoreboard over a marriage and then pretended the score was love. It wasn't. This is the closest I can get to making it right. Sign the forms. Take the calls. Tell Ava I said thank you for insisting on process I wanted to rush. Ava's voice drops half a key for the final line. Goodbye, Dan. Please keep the lights on. Silence sits down with us. The recorder keeps blinking red like a small, patient heart. Tyler is the first to move. He laughs, but the sound has gravel in it. A curated confessional. Great PR. She even included the competency line. Who wrote this? You? He slashes a hand at Ava. Ava sets the letter down, palms flat. Rebecca drafted her own text. I advised on sequence and attachments, not content. He turns on me. You feeling vindicated? Is that the poetic justice moment? The long-suffering saint finally gets paid? I could make a speech. I could tell him about September's sun at our wedding, and the way Becca's laugh sounded at 2 a.m. Over takeout noodles. None of that would land in this room. I feel assigned, I say, and scared, and, yeah, seen. Tyler shakes his head like he can fling the sentence off. This is gaslighting from the grave. She taught me strategy and now she's punishing me for learning it. Ava doesn't bite. We can take a recess. How, everyone done? No. Tyler snaps. Let's finish your checklist. What happens now, Chairman? He spits the title like it burned his tongue. Ava slides the initial transition memo toward me again, tapping the tabs one by one. Board. We call a special meeting in 72 hours. Agenda. Admit Daniel Carter as managing member per the operating agreement. Ratify interim executive authority. Maintain operational continuity. Banking. Notify Silver Basin Wealth and First Pioneer Bank. Place administrative holds. Open estate accounts under a new EIN. Initiate KYC updates. HR. Issue litigation hold. Preserve email, chat, contracts. Communicate leadership update with a neutral, non-triumphal tone. Emphasize stability. Legal. File for letters testamentary. Record the no contest clause notice with all interested parties. Prepare a response protocol for any caveats. She meets my eyes. You don't have to be charismatic, Mr. Carter. You have to be documented. Documented. That I can do. Tyler's voice goes soft, dangerous. And if I choose to contest anyway, Ava, then you'll need probable cause to avoid triggering the terror room clause. Given the capacity exam, witness affidavits, and execution video, your risk is substantial. He stares at the envelope, then at me. For a flicker of a second, I see not a CEO in waiting but a boy at a pool party who realized he couldn't swim as far as he'd told his friends. He masks it quick. 2 years. You expect me to be an employee in the company my mother built while he plays chairman? I almost say I expect you to be my son, but I've learned how expectation can rot into resentment. I expect you to make a choice, I say. To build or to burn. He leans back, arms crossed, a fortress pretending it's a man. Ava clicks the recorder off. We're in recess for 10 minutes, she says to the associates. Then we'll execute acknowledgments of notice and set the board call. The room exhales. The carafe stops looking guilty. Papers lie still. I pick up the letter. I don't own much that Becca touched in the last 15 years. This weighs less than an ounce and more than a house. I fold it along the creases she didn't make and slide it back into the envelope. Out the window. The rain has thinned to mist. Columbus light finds the stained glass and throws splices of color across the mahogany reds and golds like a broken mug glued with gold instead of apologies. I'm not fixed. I'm not ready. I am responsible, and for the first time in a long time, I know exactly what to do next. Sign the forms, call the board, keep the lights on. We reconvene, but Ava asks for 5 minutes in a side room that smells like old paper and lemon oil. The associates stay behind. Door closes. The rain has turned into a pencil tapping the window. Ava sets the transition memo between us and lowers her voice. Take the win out of your head, she says. This isn't revenge, it's stewardship. First decision. Are you willing to lead for real, or do you want a third-party trustee until you get your feet? My mouth answers before my doubt catches up. I'll lead, but slow, with process. I lead. She nods once, like a judge accepting a plea. Good. Then we stop asking for permission from people who weaponize boundaries. We document, we file, we move, and a dildo night of brown. We did not a friend. I look at the letter again in my hands. Ava, question I've been dodging for 15 years. She waits. Was I enabling their toxic behavior by staying quiet? By taking the public hits so everyone else could be comfortable? She doesn't reach for a therapy voice. Sometimes silence is mercy. Sometimes it's a prison. You'll know the difference by who keeps demanding it. Narcissists call your dignity drama. Today you didn't perform. You chose. I breathe that in. It sits right. Okay, I say. Then we fight back. Clean. Ava flips the memo. Reveals a second checklist handwritten. Dense. Clean means controls. Here's the spine. Authority and notice. We'll file the petition for probate by 9 a.m. Monday. Request letters testamentary naming you, personal representative. We'll serve statutory notice on all interested parties, including Tyler. No surprises. Only paper. Banking and signers. We freeze the estate's Silver Basin wealth accounts. Open a dedicated estate account with First Pioneer Bank. You become primary signer. Firm becomes secondary for disbursements under court order. Add dual control for any wire over $25,000. Turn on MFA across vendor portals. Corporate access. IT flips your email and VPN credentials. Grants read-only to ledgers, then role-based as chair after the board vote. We rotate admin passwords. Log a change control ticket. If anyone objects, that objection writes Exhibit A for us. Custodian list and hold. We publish a litigation. Hold notice to all likely data custodians. Suspend auto-deletes in email, Slack, Teams, Drive. We lock down BYOD sync with a mobile device policy by EOD tomorrow. PR and HR. 1 paragraph to staff. Continuity, condolences, compliance. No victory laps. Offer EAP counseling. Set office hours for questions. You read a short statement 30 seconds, then go back to work. Board mechanics. 48 to 72 hours. Special meeting under the operating agreement. Agenda pre-circulated. We record minutes. You say, I'm here to listen, and mean it. Risk map. I want a list of top 10 clients, top 10 vendors, the payroll calendar, and any change of control clauses. We call them, not with drama, with continuity assurances, personal safety. New locks at your house, camera doorbell, and no solo meetings with hostile parties. Tyler gets email only, no hallway negotiations. I nod through each line. It reads like a storm checklist. I know storms. She slides over a slim packet. One more thing. Operating agreement summary. You'll need it for the board. I tap the envelope with Becca's handwriting. And the letter goes where? into a filed declaration if and only if Tyler contests. Otherwise, it lives in your desk and your chest. I almost laugh. You've done this before. Her mouth tilts. More times than I like. There's a pause. Something unspoken leans between us. You took this case for a reason, I say. Ava looks at the rain instead of me. Let's say I recognize the pattern. A son who thinks inheritance is identity. A parent who confuses achievement with oxygen. A quiet person who mistakes patience for powerlessness. She turns back. I don't fix families. I fix records. Records change outcomes. The door cracks. One associate pokes in. Board availability looks good for Monday. 3 p.m. 2 members asked if Tyler is still interim COO. Ava answers without looking away from me. He is an employee unless and until the board changes his role. He can choose to stay and learn. Note the word choose. The associate leaves. Ava pulls out her phone. I'm sending you a board script. 30 seconds. No flourishes. My phone buzzes. I read. Board opener. Dan Carter. I honor Rebecca's work. I'm not here to be the smartest person in the room. I'm here to serve. My priorities. Stability. Compliance. Payroll. Clients. I'll ask dumb questions until I understand. I'll over-communicate without grandstanding. If we disagree, we'll document and decide. Thank you. It's plain, I say. It's credible, she says. Plain is what keeps lights on. Another buzz email from Ava. Subject, evidence, pipeline. Inside, a secure link for me to upload scans, marriage certificate, old bank letters, any emails that show the arc of the last 15 years. Why my old junk? I ask. Because narratives fill gaps. Written evidence seals them. If Tyler pushes undue influence, your digital distance matters. If he pushes unfit to chair, your work history and community receipts matter more than speeches. I let that land. Then I say what's been pacing in my ribs since the chapel. I'm done apologizing for breathing, I tell her. If being too nice taught him that shaming me works, then the boundary is this. I don't negotiate in public, and I don't accept threats. Everything through email. Everything on paper. Ava's answer is a small, satisfied nod. Good. Then here's your next move. She ticks items on her fingers. Go home, change your locks, pull your credit report and turn on fraud alerts. Text me your driver's license front divided by back for the probate packet. Be at the office 8:30 a.m. Monday. We'll sign petitions and push the board invite. If Tyler contacts you forward. No replies except, please put it in writing. Understood. Understood. She opens the door, then glances back, softer now. For what it's worth, my mother once. She stops. The sentence folds itself and waits. Another time. The hallway smells like wet wool and machine oil. We re-enter the conference room. Tyler is at the window, jaw set. Phone in his hand like a weapon that needs witnesses. Ava clicks the recorder on. Back on the record, we'll circulate acknowledgments of notice and set the special board meeting for Monday at 3 p.m. Any objections? Tyler's eyes flick to me, then to the letter near my elbow. None, he says. And the word wants to be a threat, but comes out as a promise he can't afford to break yet. I initial where the tabs tell me to. Pen on paper. Process over permission. When we finish, I tuck Becca's letter into my jacket. Feel it settle over my heart like a small, stubborn light. We step into the hall. The rain has stopped. Next up, locks, lists, and a boardroom that expects a show. They'll get something else. By Sunday night, my house sounds different. The deadbolt clicks with a new voice. The doorbell records a raccoon sniffing the mat at 2 a.m. My Wi-Fi has a fresh password that isn't my birthday. I'm not hiding. I'm hardening. 8:07 a.m. Monday. Ava's office. A stack of petitions waits with blue flags like runway lights. Petition for probate. Ava says, tapping the header. We request letters testamentary naming you personal representative. Sign and date. We'll file before lunch. Pen down, pen up, process. Next. Notice to creditors publishes this week. Opens a 90-day claim window. And this, she slides me a one-page designation of resident agent, keeps service streamlined. I sign again. My name starts to look like a policy. Her associate, Lila, rolls in a cart. KYC packet for First Pioneer Bank. We're opening an estate account, new EIN already issued. She points. Primary signer, you. Dual control on wires over $25,000. MFA required. Ava dials speaker. Silver Basin Wealth. This is Brooks and Halperin on the Lynn estate. Please place administrative holds pending letters. No outbound wires. No asset transfers. The rep confirms. I hear the keystrokes that turn money into waiting. Phones, emails, acronyms. I keep up. 9:33 a.m. IT. From the company joins a video call. A young guy in a hoodie with an engineer's squint. Mr. Carter, I'm Raj, interim IT lead. Per Ava's request. Read-only access to finance systems, email account provisioned, VPN enabled. We pushed password rotations for all global admins. Also, we've issued a litigation hold across Office 365 and Drive. No deletions, no auto purges. No 10 no. Ava. Confirm mobile device management for BYOD. Raj. Enforced. If anyone refuses the profile, they lose sync. Also, he hesitates, glancing left. We flagged 2:11 p.m. login attempts to the Treasury portal from an IP tied to Tyler's home. No changes succeeded. We blocked and alerted. Ava's eyes don't blink. Send me the auth logs and the alert ticket. We'll document. I say it out loud for the recorder Ava's running on her phone. Written evidence beats remembered speeches. Ava nods. Just once. 11:01 a.m. HR on Zoom. A woman named Kendra who looks like she can break up a fistfight with a spreadsheet. We issued the litigation hold, froze email auto-delete, and scheduled an all-hands at 4 p.m. Here's the staff memo, draft 30 seconds. No adjectives. I read. To all staff. We mourn the loss of Rebecca Lynn. Effective immediately. Daniel Carter will serve as chairman per the governing documents. Our priorities are stability, compliance, payroll, and clients. Questions can be raised in office hours this week. HR and legal. Approve, I say. Plane keeps lights on. Kendra adds, we reopened EAP counseling. Also, security reported 2 tense interactions in the lobby Friday. We'll add civil standby if meetings with hostile parties are unavoidable. Ava. Noted. 12:22 p.m. PR joins Victor. A calm baritone. No victory tours, he says. One press line for inbound. The company honors Miss Lynn's legacy with continuity and compliance under its operating agreement. That's it. I practice my board opener under breath. Not charismatic, credible. 1:05 p.m. Email from First Pioneer Bank lands. Subject. Estate account opened Lynn Estate. Wire policy. Dual-auth is greater than $25K. Daily outbound cap $150K until letters issued. Alerts. Real time to Ava plus Dan. 1:19 p.m. Text from an unknown number. Unknown. Dad, let's be adults. We should align messaging before you embarrass yourself at 3 p.m. Please put anything work-related in writing to my company email. For safety, I won't meet one-to-one today. Unknown. Classic. Weaponizing boundaries. I stare at the word. Funny how people who trample boundaries accuse you of weaponizing them the second you draw a line. Ava leans in the door with a file. Cease and desist letters are out to the 3 Tyler-aligned managers who tried to schedule a pre-board sidebar without notice. The operating agreement requires formal agenda and quorum. I breathe easier. Process, not permission. 2 p.m. I sit alone with Becca's letter and my own notes. I draft my 3 governance principles for the first 90 days. Ink on paper. Not a speech. Transparency over theater. Publish minutes, post dashboards, share cash runway with leadership. If we're proud of a number, prove it. Service over swagger. Establish a line worker scholarship fund in Becca's name. Set up a winter utility relief pool with matched donations. Bar self-dealing and sweetheart vendors. Document or don't. If it isn't logged, it didn't happen. Emails, memos, tickets, board votes. No hallway deals. No, trust me moves. I underline no hallway deals 3 times. 2:18 p.m. My phone lights up. Equifax, Experian, TransUnion confirm fraud alerts. My credit reports show nothing new. I add account alerts to my personal checking and retirement accounts. The past 15 years taught me what leaks look like when the pressure hits. Today the O-rings are new. 2:27 p.m. Email blast from legal at Lynn hits my inbox. Subject. Litigation. Hold notice. Effective immediately. Preserve all emails, files, messages, and records potentially relevant to the estate and corporate governance. Do not delete or alter. Questions to legal. Ava pokes her head in. Boardroom in 5. Remember your opener. Then listen. Let others bounce off your calm. Copy, I say, and mean it. On our way down the hall, Lila hands Ava a printout. Ava reads as we walk. Pre-board group chat Tyler started last night. She says, low enough for me alone. We got it via a concerned employee. He wrote, we don't need a quiet enabler in the chair. We need to force his hand. If he slips, we move to remove. The old reflex apologize. Make nice rattles its chains. I don't let it out. We stop outside the boardroom. Frosted glass, mahogany again. A pitcher of water sweating on a tray like a witness under lights. Ava squares her shoulders, then looks at me. Final check, she says. If he provokes, you document. If he threatens, you adjourn. You don't need to win the room. You need to hold the frame. I nod. Process, not permission. We step in. The board is already seated 7 faces at a long table, folders aligned like troops. Tyler sits mid-table with a small pack of loyalists at his flanks. His smile belongs on a billboard. He doesn't wait for the chair to gavel. Before we begin, he says, standing just enough to command the room, I'd like to align expectations about our incoming chairman. Ava's eyebrows don't move. She taps the agenda with her pen, 1 tap for, we see you, 2 for not today. Tyler turns his head, only far enough for me to read his lips. See you in there, Chairman. He whispers. Let's see if you can swim. The gavel falls. The recorder blinks red. I feel Becca's letter like a square of heat against my chest. Lights on. Papers ready. Let's draw the lines. The gavel is a polite knock on a loaded door. Call to order, the interim corporate secretary says. Special meeting of the Board of Lynn Energy Consulting, LLC. Date: Monday. Time: 3 p.m. Recorder is on. Ava passes agendas down the table like place cards at a dinner where no one's hungry. Agenda item 1, she says. Admission of Daniel Carter as managing member and seating as chair pursuant to Section 7.2 of the operating agreement and the executed will. Tyler is already half standing. Point of order, he says. Before any seating, we need a third-party review. There are questions about capacity and possible undue influence. Ava's pen clicks once. Calm. Noted. For the record, exhibits are pre-circulated. Exhibit A, Competency Statement, Dr. Sandra Eng, MOCA, 29/30. Intact executive function. Exhibit B, Execution video with 2 disinterested witnesses and notary. Exhibit C, No contest clause in terrorism provision. Exhibit D, AITA logs showing failed 11 p.m. Access attempts to Treasury portal from a residential IP. Board members have copies. Proceeding under the agreement. A director named Fisher clears his throat. Are we alleging internal tampering? Ava. We are documenting anomalies. No allegations against any individual at this time. Tyler smiles without teeth. How responsible, he says. Meanwhile, we're expected to hand over control to a man with 0 profit and loss experience. I move to defer seating for 30 days pending an independent governance assessment. His ally to the left. Second. Ava doesn't look away from the chair's empty seat. Motion to defer is out of order under Section 7.2. The will is self-effectuating. The board's role is to acknowledge admission, not grant it. Counsel for the company concurs. She nods at a gray-haired man across from us. He nods back. Stony. Then let's be real, Tyler says, pivoting. If he sits, clients get spooked. Change of control clauses trigger. Payroll jitters. I'm protecting the business. There it is again. Weaponized boundaries. Protection as leverage. I stand. Script in my hand. 30 seconds. I honor Rebecca's work, I say. I'm not here to be the smartest person in the room. I'm here to serve. Priorities: stability, compliance, payroll, clients. I'll ask dumb questions out loud. I'll over-communicate without grandstanding. If we disagree, we'll document and decide. Thank you. No poetry, no apology. The room doesn't cheer. It settles. Ava. Motion on item 1. Admit Daniel Carter as managing member and seat as chair. Move. Move. Director Nguyen. Second. Discussion? The secretary asks. Tyler leans forward, palms on mahogany. Discussion. Hems. You all saw it. If I don't comply with 2 years of employment, my bequests become a trust. This is punitive. We're inviting litigation by railroading this. Ava. The Hems standard is industry boilerplate: health, education, maintenance, support. It's not punitive, it's a guardrail. Any challenge requires probable cause to avoid the no contest forfeiture. The capacity record and execution video undercut that cause. Tyler turns to the directors like a prosecutor to a jury. And you're okay with a retired line tech chairing a multi-hundred-million-dollar firm? Because my mother wrote a letter? We need competency in the seat, not humility in the press release. I don't take the bait. You'll get competency in the systems, I say. Dual-auth wires, MFA, lit holds, vendor audits. Competency is process. Director Hannah, CFO type, adjusts her glasses. If we seat Mr. Carter, will he respect management's expertise? Yes, I say. I don't do hallway deals. You bring data, we decide in minutes, not whispers. Hannah nods, almost imperceptibly. A tiny wheel changes track. The secretary. All in favor of item 1? Hands rise. Nguyen, Hannah, Fisher. 2 more. 5. Opposed. 2 hands. Tyler's and his allies. Motion carries, 5-2. Mr. Carter is admitted and seated as chair. The word chair lands in my sternum like a weight I asked for and still can't believe I'm allowed to carry. Tyler laughs once, sharp. Great. We've seated a paperweight. Ava. Item 2. Ratify interim executive authority and continuity measures bank holds. MFA. Dual control wires. Litigation hold. PR statement. EAP availability. Move, Nguyen says. Second. Hannah. Discussion? The secretary asks. Tyler spreads his hands. Discussion. You're making a show of controls while ignoring the market. Clients need confidence. They trusted my mother because she was visionary. Clients stay for invoices paid, Hannah says, not unkind. Vision is not a vendor term. Ava slides Exhibit D. The AITA logs into the light. For the record, controls prevented unauthorized treasury access last night. Documentation matters to clients and auditors. Tyler's jaw ticks. You're insinuating, Ava. We're recording facts. The secretary. All in favor of item 2? Hands again. Unanimous this time, even Tyler's ally, who's doing the math of being on the wrong side of a control question. Motion carries. Ava. Item 3. Set all hands for 4 p.m. Approve staff memo. Chair to deliver 30-second statement. Move, Fisher says. Second, Nguyen. Discussion. Tyler sits back, calculating. Fine, but I want 5 minutes to address my team. Ava. Out of scope for board business. Staff meetings are management prerogative under the CEO. HR will moderate. Chair will speak. HR speaks. Legal stands by. Tyler's eyes flash. Boundary noted. He says the word like a promise to break it later. The vote is quick. Carries. Ava. Item 4. Risk map authorized chair to contact top 10 clients and vendors with continuity assurances. Authorize legal to review change of control clauses. Move. Second. Carries. A rhythm emerges. Read. Move. Second. Discuss. Vote. Process knits a shield around the room. Tyler breaks it with a new blade. Last item. Motion to appoint a special committee to investigate potential undue influence and capacity issues surrounding the will. I nominate myself as chair. Ava doesn't look surprised. Special committees are permitted under Section 9.1, but must be independent and disinterested. Given your beneficiary status and potential adverse posture, you are ineligible to chair. Thank you for watching. He bares his teeth as a smile. Then I nominate Director Fisher. Fisher holds up both palms. If counsel wants a committee for appearance, fine. But I'm not running a fishing expedition that tanks confidence for a case counsel already says is papered. Ava leans once into the mic. If the board wishes, we can appoint a monitor, a narrow-scope reviewer, to confirm process compliance, not relitigate the will. Scope, capacity docs, execution formalities, conflict checks. Deliver a 1-page memo to the board. 30 days. Cost capped. Hannah lifts her pen. That I can support. The secretary. Motion to appoint monitor per council's scope. Move. Second. All in favor? Hands. Carries. Tyler hisses, barely audible. You wrapped a noose in ribbon. Ava ignores it. Final item. Adjourn. Move. Second. Carries. The gavel taps out. The recorder's red eye goes dark. Chairs scrape. People stand in the choreography of adults who need the hallway to decide what they think. Tyler blocks the doorway, voice pitched for me alone. You think you won something? I think I documented something, I say. Winning isn't the metric. He steps closer. Here's my metric. When your plain speech bores the clients, and cash gets tight, the board will remove you. I'll count the votes. I don't step back. If cash gets tight, we'll show our work. If you have ideas, bring numbers. If you bring threats, bring them to email. He blinks. The old me would have tried to make it softer. The new line holds. Ava's at my shoulder. Mr. Carter, HR is ready for all hands. Security will escort if necessary. Tyler chuckles. Civil standby at a staff meeting? Cute. Prudent, Ava says, given the auth logs. A muscle jumps in his cheek. He pivots away, mask back on, greeting a director with a grip calibrated to perform confidence. We step into the hall. I feel the adrenaline surge taper without crashing me. The letter in my pocket stays warm. Ava doesn't say, good job. She says, frame held. I nod. On to the people who actually do the work. She glances sideways. After the all hands, I owe you a story. A story. Why I took this case, she says. And what record saved my mother when entitlement came for her house. The elevator doors open. The mirror shows a man who looks like me, standing taller than I remember. Next stop, the floor with the break room coffee that tastes like cardboard, and the staff who will decide if plain can carry a company. Lights on, mic's hot, keep it boring, keep it true. 4 p.m., all hands. The break room coffee tastes like cardboard and resolve. HR packed the atrium. Folding chairs, a cheap podium, a mic that pops on plosives. Security lingers by the doors, quiet, plain clothes, there if needed. Not drama prudence. Kendra, HR, opens. We're here to grieve and to work. We'll keep this short. Continuity, compliance, payroll. Questions after. She nods to me. 30 seconds. No adjectives. I honor Rebecca's work, I say into the mic. I'm not here to be the smartest person in the room. I'm here to serve. Priorities, stability, compliance, payroll, clients. I'll ask dumb questions out loud and over-communicate without grandstanding. If we disagree, we'll document and decide. Lights stay on. I step back. Plane lands. A few heads lift. The room exhales. Kendra, 2 quick items. 1. Litigation hold is active. Preserve emails, files, chat. 2. EAP counseling is open. Grief isn't a meeting you can skip. Certain. A hand shoots up. A woman in a hard hat tucked under her arm, field ops. Are we getting paid Friday? Hannah from finance into the mic. Crisp. Yes. Treasury is locked down on dual control. Payroll run is queued. We'll hit direct deposit on time. Another hand. Vendor relations. Our change of control clauses triggering. Ava takes that one. Most clients don't have that clause at this level. Legal is reviewing the few that do. We'll call those partners with continuity assurances. And then Tyler stands, no mic, projecting anyway. Team Rebecca believed in vision. She built this from nothing. Let's not let fear and controls turn us into a utility office. Kendra moves like a goalie. We're keeping to agenda. Management updates via email. Tyler lifts both palms, what, me? And sits. A couple eyes roll. Most watch me. I don't engage. Boundary holds. No hallway speeches. Kendra closes. Questions can go to office hours at Lynn. You'll get answers in writing. Applause isn't loud. It's steady. I can live with steady. Elevator down. Ava and I step into a quiet conference room with a view of parking lot puddles mirroring sky. She sets her phone face down. A signal, this isn't on the record. You said you owed me a story, I say. She slides a small USB drive across the table, matte black, a red tab. This is a copy of what Rebecca called the archive, she says. Secure mirror lives in our vault. She asked me to assemble it over the last 2 years. I turn the drive in my fingers. Archive of what? Character. Ava's voice is lighter, but the word is heavy. Receipts, emails, bank images, letters, written evidence of you being you when nobody was watching. She didn't trust memory. She wanted paper. I swallow. What's in it? She ticks items off like a deposition. Utility receipt for $78.16. The note to Mrs. Alvarez. One less thing to worry about. A handwritten thank you from a church treasurer for the space heaters you bought after the boiler failed. We reimbursed you 2 months later, and you never asked. Encation. A bank statement showing anonymous donations to the Line Worker Relief Fund after a storm took out 3 roofs. Cashier's checks. No names until we matched the teller's CTR entries. Screenshots of emails where you declined a consulting stipend for training the new guy, just put him on the schedule. A voicemail transcription from a neighbor telling Rebecca you fixed her breaker on your day off because she dialed your number by accident. And Rebecca recognized the voice. I have to sit down for that one. Listen to that? She cried. Ava says simply. And then she called me and said, if he ever thinks he doesn't deserve this, show him the archive. Mainder. I breathe around the ache. Why tell me now? Because we just walked through a room full of people who think loud equals right. You need ballast. I set the USB down like it might burn a hole. You said you recognized the pattern. Your mother. Ava looks at the window. When she talks, it's clinical first, like she's filing her own report. My brother tried to POA my mother out of her house, she says, claimed she was forgetful, that he'd protect her assets. Classic entitlement, the kind that calls theft. Caregiving. He had a notary who'd stamp anything for a steak dinner. My jaw tightens. What stopped him? Records. She almost smiles. Mom kept meticulous binders, med lists, bank logs, a calendar with every bill and postmark. She also had a competency letter from her GP tucked in the front pocket because you told me men like your brother exist. She said. When he tried to change the locks, I met him with a civil standby and a copy of the elder abuse statute. He left with a warning and a restraining order he didn't see coming. She watches my face carefully, like she's checking if the landing gear is down. That's why I took Rebecca's call, she says. Not because of the money, because she wanted to correct a story and leave it unbreakable. I rub at my chest where Becca's letter sits like a hot coin. Thank you. It done. Ava nods at the USB. There's one more thing in the archive. A video. It's not for court. It's for you. She taps her phone. A message sails to my inbox. Link. Archive mirror personal video. She recorded it in my office. One take. No edits. If you ever feel like an imposter, watch that. Then go back to work. I pocket the drive. Maybe later. Not yet. Her phone lights. Work voice returns. 2 things. Victor says 3 clients want calls. I'll sit in. And Raj flagged a USB mass copy event on a workstation in Business Development Sunday night 1:12 a.m. The user badge. A manager in Tyler's shadow team. Leaking? Maybe. Could be someone backing up baby photos. Could be client lists walking out the door. We won't accuse. We'll contain. Raj already locked the account and pulled the device serial. We'll ask for the USB with HR present. Process, not drama. Something in me, old and quick to apologize, wants to chalk it up to stress. Something new reminds me. Boundaries aren't theories. Do it, I say. No hallway deals. She stands. Good. Now, we make the boring calls that save companies. Client call 1 Horizon Mining. Victor on, Ava on mute. Me in the pocket. Miss Reyes, I say. We're steady. Same team. Same deliverables. More controls. If any milestone slips, you'll see the variance in writing before you feel it. How his best the rooms and be with the Firas in the side. She gives me a silence that measures spine. I don't need charisma, she says. I need invoices accurate and teams on site. Send me your contact tree and your risk map by Wednesday. Done, I say. And we'll mean it. Client call #2 High Plains Utility. A chief engineer chuckles when I say line worker scholarship. About time, he says. Send the criteria. We'll match first-year funding. That lands like sunlight. Vendor call Stone Street Analytics. They care about payment cadence. Dual control on wires means no surprises, I tell them. If we ever miss, you'll have a written explanation before you chase us. Then you won't miss, the rep says. Because I'll frame that email. Endiaso from Armand. We hang up. Boring calls. Beautiful calls. On my way out, Kendra catches us. Small flare. She says to Ava, "We conducted the USB inquiry. Employee handed it over. Contents are family movies. We documented chain of custody, imaged the drive, returned it. Device serial matches, no client files. And we found this." She holds up a printout. A group chat screenshot. Tyler leaning on 3 managers. "If legal tries to quarantine, claim process abuse. We force a public fight." Kendra sighs. "We'll address retaliation risks in tomorrow's memo." Ava thanks her. "Good. Keep it in writing. Keep it calm." Kendra hesitates. "One more thing, maintenance log that someone tried your office door after hours Friday, Mr. Carter. Camera caught a figure. Not clear." Ava is already texting security. "We'll upgrade access logs on that floor. And add a second camera." "Civil standby?" Kendra asks, half joking. "Only if they bring snacks," Ava says. Then, to me, "You okay?" I look at the archive in my pocket and the staff filing past with the slow optimism of people who want to work without watching a soap opera. "I'm okay," I say. "I have paper." Ava smiles, small and real. "Welcome to the unglamorous art of keeping receipts." We step into the evening. The parking lot puddles reflect a sky finally out of tantrum. My phone buzzes with a calendar pop. Tomorrow, scholarship committee draft, vendor audit checklist, board monitor scope. I unlock my car and see, tucked under the wiper, a white envelope. My name on the front in print block letters, not Becca's loops. Inside, a single sheet, typed, anonymous. "She left you the company to punish me. I won't let you keep it." I hand it to Ava. She reads once, turns it over like there might be more if the paper cooperates. "Written evidence," she says, almost gently, sliding it into a plastic sleeve from her bag. "Thank you, whoever you are. We'll log it, and we'll lock the doors." We don't say the other part out loud. This isn't a revenge story. It's a record story. And records, kept long enough, become the spine that holds a life together. The double reveal settles Ava's past. Becca's archive, 2 quiet spotlights crossing in the same room. Tomorrow is item 9, consequences, and a blueprint. Tonight, I go home, set the USB on my desk, and for once, let the house be quiet without thinking. Quiet is weak. Lights stay on. Receipts go in the binder. We're almost done. Tuesday tastes like stale coffee and new rules. The board monitor. A retired judge with a voice like granite delivers a 1-page memo. At 9:12 a.m. Flat. Findings, 30-day scope, accelerated. Capacity, adequately documented. Mocha 29/30. Independent evaluation. No red flags. Execution. Formalities. Met. 2 disinterested witnesses. Notary. Video retained. Conflicts. None material. Controls. Appropriate and proportional. Dual-auth wires MFA. Litigation hold. KYC. Conclusion. Process intact. No further inquiry recommended. Ava slides copies across the table. "For the record," she says, "Tyler is late by 3 minutes, then arrives like a storm that noticed itself." He reads the memo. Then the room. Then me. "Congrats," he says. "You won the paper game." "No," I say. "We played it." He almost laughs, then drops it. "Fine, let's bargain." Ava folds her hands. "If this is about contesting, review the interim clause again. If this is about employment, HR can schedule a check-in." Tyler glances at the door, lowers his voice. "I'll stay the 2 years. On one condition. I speak to strategy without being muzzled by compliance theater." Hannah taps her pen. "Compliance is not theater. It's payroll with receipts." He stares at me, not her. Well, I keep my tone level. Boundaries. No hallway deals. Strategy goes on agendas. You bring numbers, we bring minutes. He smirks. There he is, the enabler who learned a new word and thinks it's armor. "No," I say. The man who mistook apologizing for kindness. Different disease. Ava slides a second document onto the table. "Since we're negotiating, here's legal's proposed separation and cooperation agreement should you decide to exit rather than serve the 2-year condition. It's standard. Non-disparagement both ways. Return of property and data attestations. Cooperation with audits and any litigation. No admission of fault by anyone. A transition stipend aligned with HEMS if you choose the trust route." He stares at it, insult fighting with relief. So you pre-wrote my goodbye. We pre-wrote options, Ava says. Adults like options. He doesn't sign. Not yet. But he stops posturing long enough to breathe through his nose without words. That counts. By noon, we're at First Pioneer Bank signing the last KYC page. The branch manager uses the tone of someone who appreciates clean paperwork. Estate account is fully active, she says. Dual control is live. Alerts routed to legal and chair. We stop by Silver Basin Wealth short meeting. Longer eyes. They walk us through investment policy guardrails. I ask dumb questions about duration and downside. A portfolio manager who could bench press me nods like I passed a pop quiz. Plain works, he says. We'll draft a statement of investment policy with risk bands. No hero trades. Hero trades. Those kill companies and marriages. Afternoon. The scholarship committee meets in a storage room that used to be Becca's war room. Victor, Hannah, a field lead named Rosa, and me. We hammer criteria on a whiteboard that will ghost the ink for months. Line worker families, first gen, safety essays, tool stipends. We cap admin overhead at 5%. We match donations 1-to-1 up to a number that feels modest. Until you realize modest money doesn't leak when you track it. Rosa wipes her hands. She would have rolled her eyes. She says, affection where grief used to be. Then she'd outraise all of us. Good, I say. We'll let her ghost run the gala. We'll run the ledger. Evening. My porch light clicks on not motion, timer, and I realize I like that kind of predictability. I set the USB archive on the desk beside Becca's letter. I don't watch the video. Not yet. I'm tired in a way that feels earned. There's a knock, not a threat knock, a neighbor knock. Mrs. Alvarez holds a Tupperware like it's a passport. I heard, she says simply, about your new job. I brought arroz con leche. I take it with both hands because some gifts deserve two hands. You didn't have to. I remember the $78.16, she says. Receipts aren't just paper. D. We eat at my small table. No chandelier. Fingerprints welcome. Wednesday. Board monitor signs off the final housekeeping. IT closes the ticket on the 112A. MUSB event. HR's memo on retaliation goes out. Security upgrades the floor with another camera. Kendra rolls her eyes at the budget and approves it anyway. At lunch, Ava stops by with a folder marked confidential. Anonymous threat letter is logged, she says. We won't give it oxygen, but we'll keep it. I nod. It reads like a person who thinks punishment is love. Or a person who learned that from someone who was good at sounding right, she says. Gaslighting is a family heirloom in some lines. She starts to leave, then pauses. By the way, your 3 principles? Transparency, service, document. The staff are calling it the plain rule. Who well? I laugh once. They can call it broom closet law if it keeps us clean. She smiles. It looks like a crack letting light through. Friday. Payroll hits on time. EAP is booked but not overwhelmed. Horizon Mining sends a note. Risk map is useful. Keep doing that. High Plains Utility confirms a match for the scholarship. Stone Street Analytics emails an invoice formatted so perfectly our AP team sends a heart emoji in the internal chat, which I pretend not to see. At 4:02 p.m., Tyler knocks on my door frame. He doesn't cross it. Don't get excited, he says. I'm not here to hug. Okay, I say, boundary honored. He holds up the separation and cooperation draft. I'm not signing this today. Maybe not at all. I'll stay. I'll work. But, he swallows it like a pill that sticks. I'll keep it in writing. That's a good start, I say. He nods toward the letter tucked in my open drawer. She always wrote like that? Loops like she was doing calligraphy to impress no one? She wrote like she meant to be reread, I say. He half smiles, then remembers the character he's playing. Enjoy your chair, Chairman. It's warmer than you think. He leaves. The air he takes with him is lighter than the air he brought in. That counts too. Night. The kitchen counter is clean, a small miracle. I take the 2 halves of the cracked mug from part 1 washed, dried, and brush. On a gold epoxy kit I ordered at 2 a.m. While my brain ran laps, kintsugi, the internet calls it, repair that honors the break. The seams dry into pale lightning. I pour coffee. It doesn't leak. I take the cup to the porch. The neighborhood hum is the same hum as always. Cicadas, distant highway. A teenager learning drums 2 houses over and getting better. I open Becca's letter again to the line I keep underlining in my head. If they call this revenge, remember, this is correction. I add my own line out loud. To the night, to the letter, to the part of me that still wants to walk out when voices rise. This isn't about making anyone sorry, I say. It's about making systems that don't need someone to be sorry. The porch light clicks off on schedule. I don't rush to wave my arms and trick it on. Darkness can be normal too. You learn to sit in it without thinking you're lost. Postscript lessons, voiceover, 15-20% runtime. Boundaries aren't mean. They're maps. If your boundaries only ever restrict other people while your behavior remains a free-for-all, that's not healthy. It's control. Draw lines you're also willing to obey. Watch for gaslighting dressed in therapy words. You're making this dramatic. Why are you weaponizing boundaries? Translation. Stop noticing what I'm doing. Healthy people welcome receipts. Entitlement versus stewardship. Entitlement asks, what am I owed? Stewardship asks, what am I responsible for? If you inherit anything, money, a role, or just a family story, pick the second question. Paper beats volume. In America, process is power. Wills, letters, testamentary, notices, capacity exams, litigation holds, dual-auth wires. You don't need to shout if your record is complete. Don't confuse patience with enabling. If your silence is purchased by peace you never receive, it's not patience. It's surrender. Break the pattern gently. Publicly documented. And once. Build boring goodness, scholarship funds, utility relief, transparent dashboards. None of it trends. All of it lasts. If you're the Tyler in someone's life, humility doesn't erase talent. It ensures it. If you feel attacked by controls, ask whether you've ever used chaos to win. If you're the Dan, stop apologizing for breathing. Show up. Sit in the chair. Ask dumb questions that save smart people from silent mistakes. Final shot. Vo. I wash the gold-seamed mug, set it on the rack, turn off the kitchen light, and leave it dark on purpose. The house holds. Lights stay on. If this whole saga taught me anything, it's this. No is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone a footnote when you're protecting your peace. Healthy boundaries are not cruelty. They're maintenance, like replacing an O-ring before the pressure hits. And if someone calls your boundary toxic, check the pattern. That's often gaslighting in a therapy hoodie. Real support respects limits. Narcissist dynamics thrive on confusion, urgency, and shame. They choke when you slow things down and ask for everything in writing. Another lesson. Paper beats volume. In life, and especially in the U.S., process is power. Wills, notices, capacity letters, emails, minutes, dual-auth on bank transfers. These aren't paperwork for paperwork's sake. They are mental health armor for people who've spent years being the enabler. Documentation turns, he said, she said, into, here's the record. That shift lowers your heart rate more effectively than any snappy comeback in a boardroom hallway. Finally, choose stewardship over spectacle. You can win a shouting match and still lose the room that matters, your own head. Stewardship sounds boring. Payroll on time, receipts filed, apologies rare and specific. But boring is what safe feels like. It leaves oxygen for grief, growth, and a life that isn't staged for anyone. Your turn, Reddit. AITA for holding the line and letting the paper talk instead of escalating the drama. If you were in my chair, what would you have done differently? Especially with an entitled family member trying to make boundaries a dirty word. Have you ever dealt with gaslighting from someone who weaponized therapy language? What survival tips, legal, emotional, or practical, kept you steady? Drop your stories, scripts, and receipts below. Someone reading needs your blueprint.